In 20 to 25 years, we'll look back and we'll say one of the biggest financial mistakes that this generation made was not having the appropriate investments, if any, in their retirement accounts. I think we've recently gotten informed to know the importance of having the retirement accounts, but there's still a gap in the education of having investments in those accounts. And I believe in 25 years, we'll having a conversation on how millennials and maybe even the generation after them, the major mistake that they made was them not paying more attention to the investments that were in their retirement account. There are going to be people that are going to retire, and I've seen this happen, and they're going to say, wow, when I look at how much money I put into this account versus what it's worth now, there's not much growth, and it's because it wasn't invested right.
There's times in my life where I wasn't ready to receive information. Sometimes you're just not in the place, no matter how clear it is or what people are saying, to receive information.
Ouch. Right in the heart of Sue Fuller.
Yeah. I think they plotting on man. Don't wipe their feet when they enter the lab. I feel a cold stare.
What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Subscribe or die trying. You see the thumbnail. More importantly, you saw the clip. If I jump, my back is killing me. But I want to give y'all some game. Millennials, Gen Z, the war on your investments. I'm like the youngest of Gen X. So what I've seen is this: the rising cost of education, moving into automation. I know that rhymes. And the gig economy and the rising cost of rent, real estate has y'all jumping jobs every few years. It had you jumping apartments, every few years. It has you stuck in massive student loan debt. And what a lot of y'all didn't get was, a lot of y'all say, a lot of y'all not having kids, and at the same time, y'all doing a lot of traveling. And I try to tell some of these folks, yo, you living your life on the front end, but you're gonna pay for all of that on the back end. And a lot of y'all don't get the concept of the investment strategy because you hop in jobs all the time. So you got to take investing into your own hands. Whatever you would have on a job, whatever, if they match, if you can invest 3% or they match 3% or match 5%, you need to take that 5% and invest it yourself. You get what I'm saying? Every check, invest it yourself. Because even the way these companies are investing, if you stay with them for a long time, I've seen it over the years where what they do is they have these packages, right? And these packages, it could be precious metals, it could be international stocks, it could be tech, it could be commodities. You get what I'm saying? It can be a bunch of different things. And what I've seen happen over the years is, or it could, it be S&P 500 and that type of stuff. It could be that type of thing. What I've seen over the years is people make a substantial amount of money, and say if it's 10 of them, you've made a substantial amount of money in maybe 2 or 3 of them, right? And the other ones kind of just every now and then they have a boom, but most of the time it just slowly rising or stay flat. And some of them have lost. So what I've seen people do was the companies do is this: they'll put the ones that are higher earning in a package with the ones that are lower earning or losing. So if you was always seeing a I don't know, a 10, 15, 20, 30% increase, they going to lump that in with the one that gives you 2%. So it's going to cancel out what you make per se, right? And a lot of y'all don't get that because it's like y'all not staying long enough a lot of times, and there's no money to invest. The other thing about that, They have all these things where these people are talking about, hey man, we're going to invest in this type of real estate, that type of real estate, use credit to do this, use credit to do that. And what they're not telling you is basically they want to give you some of these people giving you the right blueprint, but a lot of these people are giving you a blueprint based on not necessarily old information, but old policies. The policies that they got their money on aren't the policies today. You get what I'm saying? So if you try to do the things that they did 10, 15, 20 years ago, the way they did it, it's not going to work for you. Because they change things. They can tell you what they originally started investing in, but they're not telling you the climate and the policies that allowed it. They put certain they've governed certain things over those years, so for them to be not as profitable. And people are banking on this with the younger generation. They're banking on y'all like um, spending all of your money on frivolous things. They're banking on it because you're gonna need health care. You know, like I'm a parent. I was talking to my son maybe we talking about healthcare maybe about a week ago, and my wife had to tell him like, and I've told him this before, but it's like as long as I'm doing what I'm doing, um, you'll be covered till you're 26. And he's like 26, and it dawned on him like, dang, I got time. And I'm like, yeah, you got time, but some of y'all, y'all don't have the same experience. And what I mean is, I got health insurance in my early 20s, mid 20s. No, it was early. It was early, maybe 23 or something like that. 22, 23, something like that. I remember getting life insurance in my early 20s. I remember um, investing in retirement in my early 20s. And a lot of y'all being young and free, and it's like, yo, it's a problem. Like I can't. And then you get older, you go, I can't do these things, and I'm gonna tell you the reason why. What happens is, if you start making money, right, you got to understand. If you're young and you get medical insurance, if you have kids, if you have a family, just know the older you get, it's gonna rise. So if you make more money, it's going there, right? Um, if you make more money and you contribute into your retirement, some of the money you make is going there. So sometimes y'all look at people being broke, and it's like, no, they're putting their money in the proper places. You get what I'm saying? The money that they have when they say I'm broke is this is all I have left in discretionary funds. They may have a good stack of change somewhere else that they don't that they never touch. But what they got for this week or this month, that's all they got. So I'm broke. All the bills is paid. This is it. I'm broke now. And a lot of y'all don't get that. Same thing, um, cars and car insurance. It's sad to say this, but um, the way it plays out is basically if you're young and your car insurance is high because you're paying your car insurance, and then you go, oh, it's 25, it's gonna die down, and I'm gonna get no, it's not. Basically, what they're gonna do is they're gonna keep increasing the car insurance as a whole with the cost of living. So, um, and depending on what state you're in, that's a whole nother thing. But to me, they overcharge in every state. They just say it's different in different states. Because when I talk to people in different states, we basically playing the same thing. Even the states that they got low car insurance, it's basically the same thing. So what happens is this, you know, you might say, hey man, I'm young, they got me paying 200, 300, 400, $500 a month. And then when I turn 25, your ass gonna be paying $300. And then when you're 30, you're gonna be paying 350. When you're 40, you're gonna be paying 400. When you're 50, you get what I'm saying? That's how they do it. So it's not just and all that chips away at your ability to invest. And And I know people who, get, Social Security and this, that, and the third. And a lot of that, a lot of the animosity you see with different classes of people, I've worked all this time and you're draining on the system. A lot of that comes from the reason why some people are getting government assistance. You know, if you have like, if you really have a medical issue, it's very understandable. Nobody complains about that. But if you just ate yourself into being overweight, then we got a problem. Or you did drugs and you got drunk and you ruined your body and now you really can't do anything. So now you're getting money off the system. Now we got a problem. You know what I'm saying? So that's what people get mad at about, say, the drain on the system. But then we got to have a whole nother discussion. For you folks who, if you don't have kids, if you don't have a house, it's different though with the house though. People are gonna expect you to invest more. People can't figure out how you don't have kids, but you don't have anything saved up for a rainy day as far as investments or when you retire, whenever you stop working, if you ever stop working. And the same thing with the house. It's like people to tell you, oh man, paying a mortgage is ridiculous. And it's like, no, if you get a good um interest rate, it's not ridiculous. Because basically what happens is, even though like taxes may go up and then it cause your mortgage to go up, if you're in a nice area, your mortgage is probably going to be, depending on the size of the house you get, it's probably going to be less than somebody's 1-bedroom apartment in 5 to 10 years. So when they tell you that, they forget to tell you the other part. You're going to have to do some maintenance on the house, absolutely. But if, let's just say, if you pay, let's just ballpark it, you pay $1,500 a month on your mortgage, right? And somebody say, man, I pay $1,500 on my 1-bedroom. Guess what? Next year your 1-bedroom gonna be $1,650. The next year your 1-bedroom gonna be $1,700. The next year your 1-bedroom gonna be $1,800. You get what I'm saying? That's why people move from place to place to place to place to place, because they need the new deal over again. So just know, you younger generations, people are making sure you're not actually in a position to invest to make sure you can get out of the rat race. And they're not telling you that. And the reason they're not telling you that, because you're going along, looking out for yourself as you should, but it's part of the way you do it plays into the hands of, you're not thinking when you're in your 50s and your 60s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, because your health might start declining for some people, 30s, 40s, 50s, right? So they're banking on the fact that you're still trying to be young and free mentally, to the point where you're not grown and sensible with the things you should be grown with. You don't know the difference between whole life insurance and term life insurance. You don't know the difference between I ain't gonna say people don't know the difference between full coverage and liability, but some of y'all can't get to liability because you don't own the car. You get what I'm saying? There's always get another. Some of y'all who, if you got more than one car, if you got a work car and a play car, just know, put the work car, put the play car stays on full, the work car is a liability. Dead serious. Because usually the play car is the newer car. You get what I'm saying? So and pay attention to the markets. Pay attention to the markets. But I'm gonna leave it at that, because I think it's pretty long. So tell me what you think. Hope you got some information for it. Like, share, subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Peace. You ever been to the top of the universe? I'm gonna tell you that.